Okay, so I have my paper folded into thirds, my palette paper, and I've got 3 colors here. I want to kind of try to create some of the deep purples that are in Allium giganteum. It's a really beautiful flower that's blooming in my garden right now. So we have cerulean blue, dioxazine purple, and quinacridone magenta. This is just a pea-sized amount of straight paint straight out of the tube. I have not added anything else to it yet. So, so I think what I'm going to do first is I am going to pull a little bit of blue down here. And then, maybe I should zoom in a smidge. There we go. That way you can see a little better. And then I'm going to pull a little bit of magenta. And the thing I like about this white palette paper, look at how vivid that is. This is the same combination I used to get the nice deep purples for grape hyacinths, or muscari is the Latin name. Okay, so we've got this nice dreamy purple. Look at that. Oh, I love it. So that makes like a really cool purple. But then if you want it to be a bit of a darker purple, you could add some of this dioxazine purple to it, which is more of a violet color. So you could have 2 sides of this. A little bit of a deeper purple, and then the more what would I say, a lavendery purple, or I don't know, like a candy purple. So, and then what happens if you add, let's see, what could we add to that to tone it down a little? We could try adding some ground white. That's called ground white. It's not a pure white. And the other thing I want to show you is what happens when you add this yellow green that I have here. It looks like it's like a bright green, but it's more like a, ooh, there's a hair on it. Probably one of my hairs stuck in there. It's actually more yellow than green, or yeah. So you can get a nice shade of gray when you mix purple with that, like a brownish grayish color, which is a really good color for if you're doing trees and you want to do tree bark. Okay, let's see what happens. I'm just pulling a little bit from one side. Ooh, it makes a really nice lilac color. I would call that a lilac purple. And then I notice how I'm just pulling more purple in rather than more white, because I want it to be kind of a gradient. And then when I go this way, I'm just going to only pull more of the ground white in, and it makes a really soft manila lavendery color, which I really like. I'm thinking, hello, lilacs. Okay, so let's now see what happens. It helps to kind of turn your paper around so you don't drag your palette knife into the paint that you don't want to drag it into. Which is why I like to have it on a clipboard when I'm outside, then I can just turn the clipboard around. So now I'm gonna drag purple into the green. And then I'm gonna go this way so we get more yellow than green. So see, we're getting strings of color. That's what I kind of call them, as color strings. And then you can even add gray to those, and all kinds of fun things start happening. So this is the just more purple with the added dioxazine purple. And then we can get all kinds of different shades happening. And now this paint, it doesn't look like much paint, but a little bit goes such a long ways once you start using paint thinner and linseed oil to make it spread more evenly on your painting surface, whatever you choose. And then the fun part is, what if I added some more blue to this? What happens? I'll end up with kind of a earthy, bright, grassy green. And then I could go further and add a little bit of phthalo blue to that, and it would be a nice deep green. So I'm trying to stay in this area here. I kind of did already go outside the lines, but what do you expect? I'm an artist. I'm not supposed to stay in the lines. And then I have a paper towel over here so I can just keep wiping off my palette knife. So let's see, what else could I add? I could try adding some I don't know. What about regular white? What happens when I add regular white? Okay, I have a really messy tube of white that sometimes I can't get the other end open because it seals shut. So I just cut the end off. Okay, I'm gonna put my white over here. Now we'll get some really interesting effects when we add the white. So we'll keep our pure white more on this end. And then just kind of, I just make little circles. And that way it kind of just pulls in a little bit of the color. And allows me to see what's happening. When you add white, it just kind of creates a more opaque, muted tone from the original colors. Makes it a little more dusky and soft. It's really important to wipe off your knife every time you go from one color to another. Let's see what happens when we just go with just the magenta and white. See how pretty that is? It looks so dark when it's straight out of the tube. Okay, I'm going to wipe off so I can dip back into my white without contaminating the whole pile. And I'm trying to get it on the bottom of the knife so that I can just spread it like I'm putting frosting on. I need to spin my paper around again so I don't get my knife in the other colors yet. So now that I have these strings, I could try mixing this with this and I would come up with a nice muted color of that. Wiping again. Getting another dab of white. Let's try this one. Okay. Here we go. Here's the white with the more, this is more of the dioxazine purple with a little bit of that mix of cerulean and the quinacridone magenta. Makes a really pretty spring palette, doesn't it? Wiped it again. Let's see what happens when I do just the straight purple. The dioxazine purple. It's just a little bit bluer or more pure, isn't it? I like that. Can you guys still see? Okay, wiping off the palette knife. Now let's see what happens when we do the white with these green shades. I'm going to put it right here in this corner. So we got some of that darker green there. It's just kind of a fun way to experiment and be free and not think so hard, but you get so many cool intermediate colors to play with. And I'm excited that I won't be wasting as much paint by doing it this way. I'm going to move that out of the way. Okay, I'm going to go into this green a little bit more. Oops. I'm just going to start right here. And that's a nice soft shade too, isn't it? And the other thing too is like when you add the paint thinner and linseed oil, the colors will mix even more and they'll change a little bit more too. All right. Hopefully you guys got a good idea of how I mix my colors. And I don't know, maybe I'll do one more. Do some phthalo blue here. Where should I put it? I feel like I should put it in with these colors, but I'm running out of space. I'll put it... Oh, man. Okay, that's one problem. That's way too much phthalo blue. A little bit of phthalo blue goes a very long ways. It's a very intense color. But what I was going to say quickly, where I got distracted, is that you can add black, just like a tiny, like a speck of black to any of these colors, or a speck of red, or just a speck. I mean, literally a speck, and it will, you'll get a totally another type of color. But I like to use kind of a limited palette, and this is usually a limited palette consists of about 3 colors and white and maybe black. I don't know how many colors I have here, but okay, that's just solid phthalo blue with white. But now I could add a little bit of this to any of these other colors and it will deepen them. I'll wipe it off. So now what happens if I added a little bit of this white with phthalo? This white is a little bit different. It's not as opaque as the titanium white, which is kind of why I like it too. It's more creamy. Okay, that's not too much of a difference. It's just a little bit warmer. What happens if I add a speck of this to this area? We get a really dark green. I like that. And what happens if we add a little bit of this to, let's see, some of this? See how many different things you can get going on when you just start playing around? And you just drag it along the edge of one of your other colors. And it just, oh, it's so much fun. Look at that. Adds and makes it like a nice grayish lavender. How about if I went, flip it around, and I just did this. Mix a little bit of it with that cerulean blue and white, and then just come down the line. Look at that, dusky. I'm getting a lot of really pretty sky colors doing this. And tree bark. And if I go this way, back up the line, I get another range of color. The possibilities are quite infinite. And it's really relaxing too. I can feel myself relaxing and getting lost in these gorgeous colors. I don't even know what I would make with any of these yet. I have no idea. But it helps me to turn off my mind a little and relax and just enjoy getting lost in these colors. And then if I try mixing all of them kind of together, I'll get a nice like brownish grayish color. Ooh, look at that gray. Oh my gosh, that's gorgeous. And then if I add white to it, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. Love it, love it, love it. Oh yeah. I get more excited about the colors than the actual painting process, I think. I wish I could just make palettes for a living. Ooh, that is so pretty. I don't want to waste all these colors. Okay, now what happens if I just go crazy here? Get some intermediate, just soft colors here. So even if you don't feel artistic, you could do this. You just play. You play in the color. I'm not sure what to do with that. I think I might move it over to the other side because there's too much of it over here. But so now I can, my thought is that now I can just fold this up and I don't have to touch the saran wrap on it. And I'll be able to use it when I'm ready to use it. And not feel so much pressure to use it all up at once. I don't know where to put this. I think I'm gonna put it here. Oh, but if I do that, it's gonna get, well, we got a little overlap here. I got too much of that phthalo blue. This is gonna be a long video. But I hope that it'll help you not feel so intimidated about making palettes and how to mix color. There we go. I just want to make this into my painting. I just love the way it's so slippery. Going outside of the lines. You know what I could do too, is I could just take another sheet of this and lay it on top of this, and then I would have two palettes if I end up going outside the lines. I just really like the slickness of the surface. Just gonna spread this out a little bit. Ooh, that's lovely. There. So now I have two options when I'm done here. I could either fold it up into thirds and then put it in a Ziploc bag and it would be good to go. Or, like I said earlier, put another piece of palette paper right over the top of it and then nothing will be wasted. There you have it. Pretty, pretty colors. Oh my gosh. Well, that took me a half an hour to make that palette, but I could make several small paintings with this as long as I seal it up when I'm not using it. And if the color becomes tacky, I can add a little bit of paint thinner to it, and it will thin out and kind of like re-wet it, so to speak, and be workable again. So, and I also still have plenty of blank space here to make some like tertiary colors, or whatever you want to call it, more variations of this palette. So there you go. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you like what you see, hopefully you'll subscribe and share this with somebody else who loves color and painting.